pint. And now, we invite you to relax. Let us pull up a chair as the dining room proudly presents your dinner. Be our guest, be our guest. Put our service to the test. Tie a napkin round your neck, chérie, and we provide the rest. Soup du jour, hors d'oeuvre, we only live to serve. Try the great stuff.
It's delicious.
Don't believe me? Ask the dishes. They can sing. After all this is France and a dinner. Hold your menu, take a glance, and then you'll be our guest. Be our guest.
Be our guest.
Tale as old as time, true as it can be. Barely even friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. Just a little change, small to say the least, both a little scared, neither one prepared. Beauty and the Beast, ever just the same, ever a surprise, ever as before, ever just as sure as the sun will rise. Tale as old as time, tune as old as song, bittersweet and strange, finding you can change, learning you were wrong, certain as the sun, rising in the east. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, beauty and beast. Tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme, beauty and the beast.
No passion could reach me, no lesson could teach me how I could have loved her and make her love me too. If I can't love her, then long ago I should have seen all the things I could have been. Careless and unthinking, I moved onward. No pain could be deeper, no life could be cheaper, no point anymore
heavens, there are a lot of you. Way over there. Hi! Way over there. And oh my heavens, the front row is very prestigious, and you're all wondering, who the heck am I? I am in fact Tom Schumacher, and I'm the president. I am so tickled you're all here tonight because the family on this stage is going to give you an extraordinary show. I have been weeping all day. I flew in from New York last night, and they've been rehearsing, and I've been a weepy mess, but I'm really going to pull it together, and I have notes. We're going to get through this. It'll take us about 90 minutes. You're going to have a ball. I promise that. Okay. Now, in my 25 years, shocking, little over that, at the Walt Disney Company, both in animation and theatrical, I have worked with some of the most extraordinary artists of our time, from directors to animators to designers, painters. But of course, tonight we're here to focus on composers, lyricists, and performers. And what I really want to do here, the plan, is to take you through the catalog of Disney on Broadway. But of course, when I say Disney on Broadway, I really mean Disney around the world. Because Disney Theatrical, which is coming up on 20 years of having a theatrical division here at the company. Very few old gas bags on the stage long enough to have been here from the beginning, but we're here. It really is. Tonight, there are 17 productions of Disney Theatrical playing somewhere in the world, which is a pretty extraordinary thing. Now, we're going to share some songs tonight that you are very familiar with because they were either in the movies that you knew or you saw them on the stage. But we're going to share some things that you probably haven't heard either. You're going to hear a little bit from the German version of The Hunchback of Notre Dame on stage. You're going to hear a little bit of King David, and if I don't blather too long, you're going to hear a little bit from Aladdin. I'd like to introduce our band because they are legendary. My friends, our music director tonight is Mr. Jim Abbott. Now, Jim was in the original orchestra for both Aida and Tarzan on Broadway. He is Elton John's favorite keyboard artist on Broadway. Jim does everything you could possibly do in a Broadway orchestra. He's a conductor, he's an arranger, he's an orchestrator, he's a musical genius. We rely on him all the time. But other than our shows, he's done fancy things. You've done Rent and Cats and Miss Saigon, and yes, you've even done Wicked. Next to Jim on violin is Laurie Abbott, and she both is from the symphonic world and the world of Broadway, and you'll notice she shares the same last name as our music supervisor because we're in the theater, we keep it in the family. Okay, then next up is my old friend Gary Seligson on drums. Gary was also in the original band of Aida, and he was in the original band of Tarzan. In fact, he was handpicked by Phil Collins to play the drums in that. He too is very fancy. Gary's done Wicked, Lion King, Book of Mormon, Little Mermaid, and Miss Saigon. And this is really fun. Joining us from California, Kenny Wilde here on bass. Besides playing in the pit of a number of our shows here, Kenny actually just told me today that he's on the film soundtrack for Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Newsies. Hey, buddy. Thank you, Disney. You paid for like one room on the house. And Kim Norton on guitar. That's our band. These lovelies over here. Mr. Alton Fitzgerald White, the longtime Mufasa on Broadway. If you're a Broadway goer, you would also know Alton from The Color Purple, where he played Mr. He was also John in Miss Saigon. He has a fantastic new album. I don't want to get the name right, because I did the liner notes. You'd think I know. Disney My Way by Alton Fitzgerald White. Then next to him, at the end here, Miss Ashley Brown. Right out of college in a touring musical review called On the Record, and the record is fantastic. The show didn't really work, but that record is really good. And I said, gosh, Ashley, you're good. Why don't you come to Broadway? And so Ashley came to Broadway to play Belle. Which Belle were you in Beauty and the Beast?
I was the 15th.
You were the,
Good solid number, I think.
the 15th Belle on Broadway, and she was in fact playing Belle. She was getting dressed to go on one evening when I came into her dressing room on the very top of the tower at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater to tell her that she would be the originating Mary Poppins on Broadway. At the far end, Miss Heidi Blickenstaff, hailing from Fresno, California. Heidi was in the, it's no shame, but it's no great honor either. I'm from Glendale, you know, we're all in this together here. Heidi was in the original company of Little Mermaid, starting as Carlotta and then playing Ursula on Broadway. And for the theater geeks in the room, Heidi is one of the creators and stars of the original title of show. Miss Merle Dandridge here is the veteran of 2 Disney productions. She played both Aida on the road and performed the role on Broadway, and then created the role of Kala in Tarzan on Broadway. And last but certainly not least, my dear friend Mr. Josh Strickland, who created the role of Tarzan on Broadway. He was an American Idol national finalist, a show that I hear people watch, but he's from the long-running show now, Peep Show in Vegas, where he's the only cast member to keep his clothes on. And he's also known in the Holly's World, the reality show he does with Miss Holly Madison, who's somewhere in here. Hey! Okay, that is our fantastic cast. Now we began. Okay, give him another hand. We began with 3 songs from Beauty and the Beast, which has become one of the most successful Broadway shows of all time. And as you know, success has many, many fathers, and so many people claim to have actually given life here. But the life of Beauty and the Beast on stage really falls in 2 buckets. The first is, without the extraordinary score of Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, there never would. Sitting right there. And really, many people were shepherding Beauty and the Beast to get it to Broadway, but there's 2 people that I always like to call out for it because they really, they were the driving forces. The first was the director of the show, Mr. Rob Roth, who came from the parks and actually went to our then chairman, Michael Eisner, and said, we should do Beauty and the Beast on stage. It's a classic stage musical. We should do this on stage. And it was really their passion that got Beauty and the Beast to the stage. I know for those of you who work and know the Walt Disney Company so well, there really wasn't a business plan to create Disney Theatrical. It completely grew out of the spontaneous creative initiative of mounting a show on Broadway. It had an out-of-town tryout in the fall of 1993 in Houston. It came to Broadway in March of 1994. It set the house record at both the Palace Theater and the Lunt-Fontanne for the longest run in each of those, and has played everywhere in the world. So Beauty was a massive hit, and at the same time Beauty was opening on Broadway, The Lion King was roaring to the screen as a film. So naturally, everyone turned to us and said, well, why don't you put The Lion King on stage? And like you at the time, I thought it was the dumbest idea I'd ever heard in the world. How could you possibly put The Lion King on stage? And in fact, we came up with one big idea. And that big idea was Miss Julie Taymor. And what Julie was able to do was take Rob Minkoff and Roger Aller's extraordinary vision for the cinematic vision of the show, of the film, and make it something that was purely cinematic. Needless to say, it worked. The show has played to, it's kind of shocking, 70 million people. It's been seen in 17 different countries on every continent except Antarctica. If it continues to melt, by the way, we can put a theater there. This is a little statistic I like to throw around. The worldwide gross of The Lion King, just the box office on stage, exceeds the combined worldwide gross of all 6 Star Wars movies. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. And by the way, To give credit where credit is due, that beautiful Lion King logo that you've all come to know everywhere in the world, that was designed by the fantastic animation artist, Mr. Hans Bacher, who did that in 8 hours overnight when I was desperate to have a press conference the next day. The score of The Lion King is completely untraditional. You know it's built on the great pop songs by Elton John and Tim Rice, those songs there, but then we had to do something else to it for the film and then for the stage show. And that's where Hans Zimmer, Mark Mancina, and Lebo M come into it. And without them, this wouldn't have happened. So, before we talk more about that, let's have some music from The Lion King.
What a wonderful phrase. Hakuna Matata.
That's right.
Ain't no passing craze.
It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's a problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Ah, come on, y'all, you know this.
Hakuna Matata. Put that together. What a wonderful phrase. Yeah, that's right. Hakuna Matata. Ain't no passing craze. It means no worries for the rest of your days. It's a problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata.
Matata.
Hakuna Matata.
I say Hakuna.
I say Matata.
Hakuna.
Matata. Hakuna Matata. Hakuna Matata. Yeah. The rivers dry, the ground is broken, so I must go. No, I must go, and where the journey may lead me, let this ground be my guide. I cannot stay here, my family, but I'll remember my pride. I have no choice. I will find my way. Take this breath, one life.
asking, Mamila. Wait, there's no mountain too great. Hear these words and have faith. Oh, have faith.
Hey Pamela, hey love, hey Pamela, hey love, hey Pamela, hey love.
They live in you.
Hey Pamela, hey love,
They live in me.
hey love, hey Pamela, hey love.
They're watching over everything we see.
Hey love, hey Pamela, hey love.
In every creature, in every star, in your reflection, they live in you. They live in you. They live in me. They're watching over everything we see. Into the water, into the truth, in your reflection, they live in you. They live in you.
If you don't know the first song that they performed, you have to leave right now. But what you might not know about Hakuna Matata, that it was a replacement song. The first song written to introduce Timon and Pumbaa was a little ditty called Warthog Rhapsody. It's a charming song, but it got dumped. And the term Hakuna Matata actually came from the research trip. When the team went down to Africa to, explore and see, and we created this great tradition of going on research trips, the guide, when one of the Jeeps was late one day, said, "Oh, Hakuna Matata." And Roger Allers said, "What?" And of course, later it got incorporated into the show. The second song is Shadowland. Shadowland, which Merle did so beautifully, is... That's a new song, and you would know a version of it if you haven't seen the show, though. If you have the album Rhythm of the Pride Lands, which is a gorgeous record that inspired much of the stage version of Lion King. And that's Mark Mancino, Hans Zimmer, and Lebo M, who created this song, which is then interpolated into the show as Nala's song, Grown Nala, when she is leaving the Pride Land, knowing she can no longer stay there under the tyrannical rule of Scar. And then They Live in You, which then later gets reprised in the show He Lives in You by Alton. That song actually was written by Mark Mancino while he was working on the movie. And he came into my office. By the way, I don't remember this, but apparently he came in and said, "I wrote this great song, why don't we put it in the movie?" And what? Elton John is writing these songs, not you. Get the heck out of here. And I threw him out of my office, according to him. But he did save the song. We began the stage show, and now it's, of course, at the very center of the show, and is used it's the whole thing that holds the darn show together. So, I have a job, and I'm not that bright. So, it remains one of my favorites in the show. Now, right after we opened Lion King, everyone wanted to do their own production of it. And we were approached by some German producers who said, "We'd like to open our new theater in Berlin with The Lion King." And we said, no. Because they'd never even done a musical in Berlin before. And seriously, and we said, but there's this wonderful movie that Alan Menken and Stephen Schwartz did called The Hunchback of Notre Dame, with this glorious score. Why don't we adapt that? And we did an adaptation of Hunchback that played in Berlin for 3 years, but there was still more we wanted to do to it. In fact, we've now just about a month ago, Alan, we did a reading in New York of an all-new script of Hunchback of Notre Dame, because we are determined to bring Hunchback to the stage because it is so beautiful. So, this little ditty that Josh has whipped up to perform for you has actually only been recorded in German. This song, Made of Stone, is sung, because I know all of you know the story of the film, when Quasimodo accidentally leads Frollo to the Court of Miracles, and he's responsible for the capture of Esmeralda and all this. In the stage version, he goes back to Notre Dame, and he's alone with the gargoyles. Esmeralda is being put on the pyre, the thing has come to an end. He blames himself for this and decides he's going to withdraw. So this is the rarely heard Made of Stone from Hunchback.
What do you know of me? What do you know of all the things I feel? Only made of stone. Is it that you see? Instead of seeing what I am for real, it's twisted flesh and bone. You're a liar. With every new excuse you try out, you only make me want to cry out. Would that I were made of stone like you. You give such good advice, so why is not a single word you've said any help at all? And you sound so nice. The more your dreams and fancies fill my head, the farther that I fall. Shut my brain down. If I were senseless, I'd prefer it. Another gargoyle on this turret, spitting rain down to the stones below. Wasting my faith believing in saints of plaster. The only one worth believing in was my master. He's the one who never lied. He told me it was cool outside. He told me how I had to hide. His words were cold as stone, but they were true, not like you. Take all the dreams you've sown, take all your lies and leave me alone. And now I'm on my own, never again to wonder what's out there. Let it remain unknown, and my one human eye will evermore be dry until the day I die, as if I were made of on the show. The score is so darn good. We're not going to let that go. So, I'm so glad you came now. So, interestingly, Aida was in development actually before The Lion King. Most people don't know that. The other thing most people don't know is that Aida actually started as an idea for animation. It was pitched at the legendary animation Gong Show by the brilliant background artist Lisa Keene. We began developing it, and then it just wasn't right for animation, so we saved it for the stage, and we began working on it soon after the Lion King movie opened. And it opened on Broadway in 2000 after a somewhat tumultuous journey. It first opened, however, in Atlanta, Georgia, under the title Elaborate Lives. And the score was great, but the darn thing just didn't work. And so there's two choices at that point. You can either chuck it out, or you can in fact keep working on it. Well, we did keep working on it. It ended up playing for 5 years on Broadway. It won 4 Tony Awards, including a Tony for Alton and Tim Rice for their music.
And it has never, since it played on Broadway, stopped playing in its original version somewhere in the world. Now, that's a story of star-crossed lovers. It's a love triangle set against these impossible odds. Captain Radames of the conquering Egyptian forces goes to Nubia, and he captures a group of slaves and brings them home. One of them catches his eye, that is Aida, but he does not know that she is the daughter of the king of Nubia. But to save her from certain death in the copper mines, he gives her as a servant to his betrothed, Princess Amneris. Amneris doesn't understand why she's drawn to this woman, but of course Aida and Amneris share so much in common. They become friends, and thus we have this complicated love triangle. I want to present two songs for you from Aida. The first one is a big power ballad. These songs are really classic Elton John songs. And Merle, who played the role for us, will present to you first from Aida, Easy as Life.
This is the moment when the gods expect me to beg for help, but I won't even try. I want nothing in the world but myself to protect me, and I want